Every month, hundreds of games look for your support on Kickstarter, and we delve through all of them to bring you 5 recommended games that we think deserve your attention. But before we dive into January's recommendations, let's recap the games mentioned in our December video. Third-person action game Raji set its targets high with a whopping £120,000 goal. Unfortunately, the project was cancelled by the developers after only hitting just over 50% of its goal. Sci-fi classic-inspired adventure game Klubberbluk struck an instant charm with fans, hitting its target of €80,000 in just 30 hours. With the game finishing at over 200% funding, we can expect a full release around the end of 2018. Another project that was unfortunately cancelled in December was the vegetation combat game Seed. The campaign only saw the game reach 20% of its target, but hopefully this isn't the last we have seen of Seed. One of the most talked about games to grace Kickstarter in 2017 was Session. The twin-stick skating sim looks to really scratch the skate itch so many of us have been having. And with Session hitting 200% of its target, we can expect a full release around the middle of 2019. The demo for Session can still be played now through the game's Kickstarter page. Maybe it was Skull Pirate's cartoon artwork, or the fact that you play as a skeleton army, or maybe even the fact that it's coming to PS Vita and Switch. But for whatever reason, fans took an instant liking to Skull Pirate, helping it clear 250% funding of its target. If you backed the game, then you can expect to be playing it around October 2018. Now with December's games recapped, let's jump into our recommendations for January.
Future Ghost tells the story of a man named Song who achieves immortality and goes on to become a kind of hero.
Our first recommendation comes in the form of Future Ghost, a classic-inspired 2D point-and-click adventure game with the addition of JRPG-style battles. The story of the game follows Song, a semi-retired kung fu master who, in the early stages of the game, is conveniently granted with immortality. Now, this may not be as much of a convenience as first thought, as the following 4 to 6 hours of Future Ghost is based around the consequences of immortality. Developers Pinebox Games have set a target of just £800 for the game, which will help see its 20-year dream come to life. If you want to check out Future Ghost for yourself, you can download the demo through the game's Kickstarter page, which is linked below. And if you like what you see or play, then you have until the 7th of January to help Future Ghost hit its campaign goal.
Please take a look at it if you have a spare half an hour, and if the story, characters and gameplay appeal to you, and if you'd like to support me in bringing to life a narrative I've had incubating for the last 20 or so years, it would be great if you'd join me as a backer on Kickstarter. Thanks for watching.
VaultRaiders is a top-down bullet hell inspired shooter that shows off a pretty fitting voxel art style. Players are challenged of blasting their way through procedurally generated dungeons, laying waste to enemies and getting hold of some pretty sweet loot. This loot becomes even more important the more you play, as VaultRaiders features permadeath where only your unlockables carry over between playthroughs. The game is currently in development for both Steam and PS4. If fully backed, the developers are hoping to release VaultRaiders this summer. So, if the idea of a roguelike bullet hell voxel shooter excites you, then you have until the 20th of January to help VaultRaiders hit its £1,500 goal. Our next recommendation is Embark, a colony sim that looks to combine elements of Minecraft, Dwarf Fortress and The Sims. The game evolves around a group of explorers who have stumbled across what appears to be an uninhabitable planet. To colonise the planet, you'll not only need to build and gather resources, but actually study the planet's ecosystem, as all the animals and plants are connected to the planet's life cycle. To add further depth to the simulation of Embark, items and buildings don't have set recipes. Just because something is supposed to be wooden doesn't mean it has to be. You have to use the resources you have gathered to substitute whatever components you need. For around £17, you can get access to the game's alpha, which should be available in the next few months. And if you want to help Embark hit its £22,000 goal, then you have until the 21st of January to back it. And if fully funded, we can expect a full release around the beginning of 2019. A Song in the Void is a first-person platformer that plays out in a world where everything is tied to music. The adventure stretches across 5 unique islands, each of which has its own musical theme and fallen civilization. Piecing together the audio tracks that you'll find will not only restore the island's theme, but also provide answers into what happened to the fallen civilizations. The combination of musical puzzles and environmental storytelling look to bring a unique narrative to A Song in the Void. If you hurry, then you can grab yourself a copy of the game for just £9. However, this reward tier is very limited. If you like what you see or hear in A Song in the Void, then you have until the 30th of January to help the game hit its £2,700 goal. And if fully funded, we can hope to be playing A Song in the Void later this year. Our final Kickstarter recommendation for January comes in the form of Meteor. Meteor is an intricate PvP game that fuses RPG style shooting with a MOBA based gameplay. The full nitty and gritty detail of the game runs pretty deep, so it's definitely worth checking out the game's Kickstarter page if you're interested in knowing more, but we're going to cover as much as we can now. The game is divided up into 2 parts, Warlords and Guardians. Each of these have their own abilities, lore, combat mechanics, game modes, and even their own maps. If fully funded at launch, Meteor will boast 15 different warlords to play as and 25 different guardians to master, all of which have their own unique perks. The plethora of game modes on offer range from your classic MOBA inspired modes all the way to some unique lore inspired battles and can be played in 1v1, 2v2, 3v3, 5v5, 10v10 and 15v15 or even up to 50 player free for all modes. If the idea of this hugely ambitious PvP game has got you excited, then you'll be pleased to hear that just £13 will get you beta access, a digital copy and exclusive in-game content. You have until the 31st of January to back Meteor, and if fully funded, you can expect beta access around June this year, with a full release hopefully coming by the end of this year. Well, that wraps up our Kickstarter recommendations for January. All the games mentioned in this list are not guaranteed to reach a final development. That solely comes down to the game's Kickstarter campaign. If you do like what you see or look forward to playing one of these games, we cannot urge you enough by heading over to the Kickstarter pages which are linked below and showing your support to the development team. And for more on indie games, including previews, reviews and our new video podcasts, make sure you subscribe and check out indie-credible.com. And from everybody at Indie Credible, Happy New Year.